Join us on the last bus home.
And that's why when they drop you off, you can't sit down for a week.
No way.
Yeah, man.
So inconsiderate.
I know, mate, I know.
But why have you brought me here today? Anyway, what's happening?
I've got a special treat for you today, mate. Being the hardened skeptic you are on this particular subject. So I didn't want to delve too much into this on the bus because it's a very saturated market in the podcast realm. Some really good ones out there. But what I'm going to do for you today is give you a full, entire breakdown of UFO / UAP disclosure. Okay? So it's a murky world, but what I'm going to do is basically present to anyone who's maybe not even thought about the subject down to your expert. And hopefully I've nailed the entire history. I've pretty much got a full 90-year rundown here. So I'm going to go through some key events, 3 key events that I'll just mention quickly now, just to give you kind of like a flavour of what's to come. So we start with Roswell, 1947. This is when the Army announced a flying disc, and as you know, quickly pulled that back. So it kind of shows you from early on that they were scared of something coming out. You got our good man Bob Lazar in 1989.
Legend.
Yeah, man. One of the first, well, not first, but one of the main kind of whistleblowers. Said that he worked at Area 51. I'm sure everyone's heard of that. But this suggested kind of like a secret government underground program working on actual craft that we...
This was the Gadget who was ringing coast to coast from phone boxes, was it?
I believe it was George Knapp that kind of spoke to him and got a bit of an interview, and the famous kind of YouTube videos where he takes them to Area 51 and they watch all the little lights dipping about. It's kind of cool stuff. And then one of the big ones all the way today to 2023, a guy called David Grush. He's a military guy, all backed up. His testimony was about crash retrievals. So this was, again, a government kind of project that they had, getting crashed UFOs, basically, taking them away and working on them. And this guy went in front of the courts and pleaded. And I think, the whistleblowers kind of boomed around that time, but we'll go into that. So this timeline that I've compiled, it's got basically all the major events, government programs, key incidents. So it's not just tall Paul from down the road who's seen a UFO in the street when he was pissed up one time. This is proper, legit, cultural milestones, if you will. Let's start off all the way back in 1933. So an alleged crash of an unidentified craft near Magenta, Italy, during Mussolini's regime. So researchers claim that a secret study group was set up called the Gambinetto RS-33, possibly involving an inventor called Guglielmo Marconi. So it's cited as an early European precursor to things like Roswell and later incidents. So
is this lights in the sky or an actual...
a crash of an unidentified craft. Okay. So an actual craft where they said they, like say, formed this group and they took it. So this is like one of maybe the earliest retrieval kind of things we hear about. A lot of this list basically just goes back to how early did we actually know about these things, and, how really no one kind of gives a shit.
So did that all get kind of sealed up in the Vatican cellars?
A lot of this stuff gets sealed up, and we will go on to why these things do get kind of covered up. I mean, for other obvious reasons, and maybe it's not just the government just don't want us to know about it, but we'll definitely go into that.
It's simply not real.
Well, I won't say that. So in 1940 to 1945 is where we get the Foo Fighters term. So reported by Allied and Axis pilots during World War II, multiple reports from pilots of glowing spheres, discs pacing around the aircraft over Europe and the Pacific. So again, when it's reports from either government officials or soldiers on the ground or like pilots, it becomes, like I say, a little bit more legit than your pissed up mate giving you a story of the UFO he saw one time. 1946, a big incident called ghost rockets. So these were sighted over Sweden and Scandinavia, again by the government, and these were missile-like objects, some crashing into lakes. The Swedish Air Force had a big investigation into this. So documents are leaked, but a lot of it was kind of covered up. But I think it goes past a certain date, doesn't it, where you have to kind of release documents. June 24, 1947, Kenneth Arnold, a civilian pilot, reports 9 crescent-shaped objects flying at supersonic speeds near Mount Rainier, Washington. The media jumps onto this one, and it pretty much gives us the first term of flying saucers. So thank the newspapers for that one. But this kind of sparked a wave of public interest into UFOs. So July 1947, the big one, Roswell incident. So rancher discovers debris near Roswell, New Mexico. Then the US Army Air Forces announce a flying disc recovery. They're pretty much all over it. Yeah, this was a UFO. And then they quickly retract it, say it was some weather balloon.
So who comes out saying like UFO in the first place, and then it gets retracted? Why are they saying anything? Is it the papers saying it, and then the mystery people are saying shh?
They'll have kind of, I'm guessing, like a press kind of liaison. And yeah, I think they jumped first and said, yeah, this was a flying disc, pretty much was all over it that it was a UFO.
Well, I suppose they'll climb over each other and eat each other to get the breaking story, won't they?
Yeah. But then, yeah, like I say, retracted. The report was that there was alien bodies at the crash as well, but they pretty much just washed over the whole.
You'd think that'd be the biggest part of it, wouldn't you? The bodies. Yeah, having a craft, yeah, it's pretty cool, but a body? You'd think that would be the focus of it all forever, but it's always just a sideline, and they're more interested in the tinfoil and cling film that they found lying around field. It doesn't make any sense to me. If they've got some outer space meat laid there and they're not even touching it, something don't ring right to young Scott.
And they actually claimed that the bodies could have been test dummies, just scattered around the landscape. So
They could have been, but they ignored them. But they could have been frogmen. They could have been crocmen.
could have been, yeah, toadmen. I mean, we say we ignored them, but did we just scoop them up, take them away, say it was a weather balloon?
But they would be the main attraction, surely. Anyway, continue. I'm sure you've got answers.
No, it's true, man. I mean, we can look into it. Like, say, the rancher, this is what he said, there were bodies, and then the army said they were possibly test dummies. Who do you want to believe? Government or a farmer? It's up to you. Late 1947, US Air Force begins collecting UFO reports at Wright Field. Wright Field's definitely one that pops up a lot in UFO lore. So this is a Project Sign, it was called, and it was basically set up to study the phenomenon, proposing an extraterrestrial hypothesis in its estimate of the situation. So this is kind of like an early group that was set up to kind of study these. January 7th, 1948, Mantell incident. So this was a Kentucky National Guard pilot. Thomas Mantell crashes while pursuing a UFO. So again, another kind of whistleblowing situation on this. All kind of passed off and pushed under the rug. He was told it was probably a sky balloon, but this started to fuel early conspiracy claims because they weren't just being given a good explanation. It was always a weather balloon, this or that, bit of tinfoil. 1948 to 1949, Project Sign transitions to Project Grudge, shifting from open investigation to basically debunking UFOs as illusions or misidentifications. So by this time, the government were really on kind of like maybe trying to wind this thing down. 1952, Record 1. So this was 501 UFO reports. Project Blue Book, as we all know, was basically replaces Project Grudge. And this was running until 1969, and this investigated 12,618 sightings.
Between what times? Is this from basically the Italian up until present time then?
Yeah.
What are we looking at? 20 years? 30 years?
Yeah, about that. So originally 1933, now to 1952.
Right.
20 years. July 12th, 19 1952, Washington, D.C. flap. So this was a big event where a radar got visual sightings over the Capitol. Project Blue Book attributed this to atmospheric invasions. We're starting to see the talk of swamp gas starting to come into the debate. Good old swamp gas. In January 1953, Robert Pannell's CIA-sponsored concludes UFOs are sensationalized. Again, you're starting to see a real kind of like push it under the rug viewpoint from the government. 1954, Florence Stadium sighting. So this was quite a big one. This was in Italy. So a mass witness of overhead objects dropping angel hair. So angel hair is something that, again, props up in recent UAP law. And it's a material that's dropped by the UAP of almost like a waste product, like your car spitting out engine fumes.
Isn't that suspiciously like spider's webs?
No, so it's metallic. So it drops on the floor, and they've kind of like collected samples. But again, it's nothing that seems otherworldly. It's just these clumps of metal on the floor. But if anyone wants to look into that, angel hair.
Again, actual evidence, and nothing comes of it.
This is what I'm saying, mate. When I was making this list, it reads like a sci-fi thing, and it gets really wacky towards the end. It's almost like a movie that goes nuts. But
so someone's picked up, held in their hand, a bundle of UFO pubes and not put them under a microscope.
Ah, mate, you're so behind on the times. I mean, as far as all the podcasts and documentaries on people actually saying they've got, parts from an alien craft and they've touched it, they talk about the metal that they've got hold of. You can tell it's not.
Just turns out they're Lego bricks.
Yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, it's kind of like they look into it with a microscope and it's layered on like an atomic level, which we just can't do with our machinery. And this is their kind of claim that this isn't made by us. But again, we'll go into it, mate.
But again, the result is, so that we know that now. We'll leave that there.
I'm just saying, this is out. I mean, we'll move on to it. But in 2017, the Pentagon came out and the New York Times reported on it, and it even came on our news, and they said, yeah, there's craft in the sky and we don't know what they are and they're not from anything on this earth. But no one gave a shit, mate, 'cause it's 2017. People were still happy, kind of. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, there was no lockdown to make them take their boredom out on UFOs.
This is it, mate. This is it. So in 1957, Leveland in Texas sighting multiple reports of an egg-shaped object, and egg-shape starts to come up a lot in more modern law. So we move away from like the UFO classics and we start looking into different shapes. This again started to fuel a bit of an interest in electromagnetic effects because it was causing vehicle interference whenever these were seen. So I'm guessing that's like old school radios going a bit crazy. In 1966, swamp gas comes up again. So a congressional hearing on UFOs. An explanation by J. Allen Hynek ridiculed the UFO phenomenon with his term of swamp gas, again, eroding trust in official debunking. In 1968, a Condon report, which was the University of Colorado study, concludes no scientific value in UFO studies. So around the late 60s, this was just completely pushed under the rug. We get on to 1974. Robert Spencer Carr claims alien bodies from the 1948 Aztec crash stored, again, at Wright-Patterson's Air Base. So didn't really look too much into this guy, but again, we're starting to see Wright-Patterson pop up again as some kind of place that maybe takes these crash retrievals.
When the Aztec aliens that were found, they were really kind of tiny, weren't they? They were like baby-sized as opposed to child-sized, like the Greys are usually.
Yeah,
the ones at Roswell are supposed to be like child to small adult. But in the Aztec ones or Inca, like the alien bodies they have are like really little, like baby-sized.
Yeah, proper tiny. I think there's been like a few mummies that have come out lately that no one's seemed to figure out if they're alien or human, which is wild to me, considering all the scientists on the world. But
well, there's I don't know the medical term. That's cephalitis, or where you get the babies with the big heads and eyes and stuff.
All kinds of diseases. 3 fingers, that's the one that throws me. Tridactyl. 3 fingers, 3 toes. But again, who knows? Could be a deformity. Okay, mate, so we'll move on. 1980, some guys that you might have heard of called the Majestic 12. So documents surface about these guys, and an anonymous film alleges a 1947 Truman-formed committee for UFO retrievals, also including Roswell. And these Majestic 12 seem to be what I think is probably the 12 richest dudes back in that time who all got together and said, look, you can't have all these governments running the world. Let's all us boys club our money together and we'll kind of like run things, the 12 of us. And that's probably what's going on. So I think these guys exist. Okay, mate, moving on, because this is our boy, 1989, Bob Lazar, whistleblower. So Lazar alleges that he worked at S4, which was based near Area 51. And what he claimed he was doing, he was working for the government, reverse engineering alien spacecraft, including what he claimed a sports model. And he seemed to think that this was one that the US government had kind of built based on all the stuff that they'd learned. So he claimed that it used basically like a metallic element for gravity propulsion. So element 115 didn't exist at the time, and then eventually later on it was kind of discovered. So he has a lot of kind of things where you think, man, you know your business, but again, you're never to know. He said he worked for a lot of places, and then he said the government have kind of like pulled a lot of stuff, you know, where obviously he worked for that, but he can't prove it. And, you know, what do you believe? But he's never changed his story over all the time. And he's recently been on podcasts and he's still about today. He hasn't really, I don't think, benefited monetarily from this at all. And to be fair, to me, he just seems like a bit of a guy, like maybe a bit on the spectrum, really intelligent, really like focuses on his rocket engineering, bit of a wild card as well, got a bit of a shady past.
He likes his trousers pulled up nice and high.
Seems like a kind of a good, interesting dude, and really doesn't seem to like the limelight, really doesn't. So I think as far as whistleblowers go, he's got a lot of legitimacy to him, but again, I'm not saying anything is true. So one of his claims was that he describes briefings on a 10,000 years of Zeta Reticuli alien interactions. So Zeta Reticuli, I believe, is like a star system away, and he thinks these aliens have been interacting with us for, with humans for tens of thousands of years. I also kind of believe that claim.
Openly or covertly, do you think? I mean, have these aliens selected people and just done it under cover of darkness?
I think it was a lot more open back in the day, maybe 10,000 years ago, and that's where we get all our things of like gods coming from the heavens and bringing us technology and knowledge. I think that's where it comes from, but certainly in our lifetime it's been very covert because we hadn't heard anything from them other than little bits and bobs and blurry videos on YouTube. But yeah, so that was Lazar's claim, and again, he still remains to be one of the biggest whistleblowers at that time. So we're getting closer to modern day now. So 1994 to 1997, the US Air Force releases Roswell reports. So quite a bit after the time. So report of Air Force research regarding the Roswell incident and the Roswell report, case closed, basically just debunking everything, all the alien claims as balloons and dummies. So that's basically what they said. It was a weather balloon and they were crash test dummies. That's what it was.
And the rest of the world, if they're so silly for thinking otherwise.
Exactly. So one of our boys, I'm a bit of a fan of him. I've seen him interviewed, Robert Bigelow. So in 1995, Senator Harry Reid convenes a group with Robert Bigelow to discuss alien life under National Institute for Discovery Science. So anyone that doesn't know Robert Bigelow is a big guy in the aerospace game, I guess you could say.
And he did purchase Skinwalker Ranch for a period.
Exactly. So he's definitely into the paranormal. He bought that bad boy for research, but then dropped out. He seemed to have gone a bit more down the spiritual route after being a heavy businessman. But I think he knows a lot of stuff. He seems like an intelligent dude. So we're coming to the 2000s now. In 2004, the Nimitz encounter. So people might start to recognize these. They were on a news, albeit brief. But Navy pilots, Commander David Fravor, filmed an oval-shaped craft off San Diego, accelerating rapidly. The video was later released. There was no plumes or rotors noted, so it was definitely something weird that this professional Navy pilot had captured. So it was cool, but again, it doesn't explain an awful lot, does it? But these start to become more and more. So in 2007 to 2012, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, ATIP. This was a Pentagon program backed by Senator Reid, investigates UFOs with Bigelow Aerospace. A guy called Luis Elizondo runs it. Briefing claims that science fiction is now science fact. So in the...
Is this the man with a funny little goatee?
Yeah, man, you know him.
All dead,
so
yeah.
We're definitely stepping things up in the 2000s. It seems to be coming more and more into the mainstream. So 2014 to 2015, we've got some East Coast encounters, Navy pilots again, so we're really starting to see a big uptake in whistleblowers now. Report UAP near Florida, Virginia, reaching hypersonic speeds and near collision in 2014 as well. So starting to go into, are these things dangerous? Should we really be like looking at these? They're really messing with a lot of our Navy basically our military people. 2017, mate, this is a big one, and this is the one that kind of bothers me because it really just, like I say, shows you that no one gives a flying shit. And it was, as I mentioned earlier, when New York Times reveals ATIP, Luis Elizondo resigns, continues informally, and then the Pentagon release two videos called the Gimbal and the Go Fast videos. And what that was basically them saying, look, these videos are from our military personnel. They're legit. We don't know what they are. They're not of this earth. They're certainly not any adversaries. But again, it's, no one was really that bothered. So the story just kind of died down. Not that I'm saying everyone's going to believe the government, but who do you believe? You can only believe your own eyes, can't you? So
because they think they're dripping out just enough to keep people interested. And when, they'll hype it, and then we finally see this little blurry picture of someone throwing a coin through the air or something. And then, no one's bothered. They want meat. They want action. And just a little video of a shaky thing, it's just not capturing people. That's why nobody cares. And they know that, so they don't have to do anything else.
So I ask you as a skeptic, why are they drip feeding anything? Why are they just not cracking on? If none of this is real, what are they even bothering with?
I don't know why they're doing it. That's my point. I mean, if they're going to do it, if it's real, show us something good.
So hold your skepticism on that one, buddy, because I'm going to go at the end and we're going to have a little talk about why I don't think it's wise to have disclosure, okay?
Right.
You got to take into account humans, bro. I certainly don't think we're the best this universe has to offer. I think you have to be pretty crazy to believe that.
Do you think?
A universe this size, infinite, and we're the best. We're the stars of life.
Yeah.
No way.
Why not?
We're dipshits, mate.
Made Game Boys.
We sit around scratching our nuts, throwing nuclear bombs at each other. We're lame. But hopefully our alien overlords will come down and save us.
Good Lord.
Anyway, let's move on. So, July 2020, NASA scientists call for revisiting the Condon report. So again, NASA showing a bit of interest now, and the Pentagon announces publicity into this. So the Pentagon are now working with NASA trying to big that up. April 2021, a Navy confirms video of UAP buzzing warships off California. So this was a video of a UAP, and it was messing with the warships around. So this video was leaked.
Would you like to let us know what a UAP is, Lee?
It's a UFO, mate. I mean, it stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm dealing with...
You're dealing with real people with actual... yeah, not fantasists. So not everyone knows that they've upgraded the name UFO to UAP because, I don't know, it was hurting aliens' feelings or something. They don't like to be called objects. They prefer to be phenomenons.
Let me just school you again. These aren't unidentified flying objects. Some of them may be interdimensional, so it is phenomena. It's not objects, okay?
And it's aerial, not flying, because some of them just float and not fly.
Bang on, my brother. We do not know that they are actually flying.
And it
Okay.
hurts their feelings if you assume that they're flying.
Of course it does.
Exactly.
Never do that. So in April 2022, the Pentagon forms All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. So the government is setting up all these bad boy little institutes, AARO for short, to investigate alien threats. Okay? So now it starts ramping up in sci-fi. So
after 50 years, they've become aggressive.
The Pentagon sets up a thing to look at alien threats. So this is kind of on the back of all these reports from military officials saying that maybe some.
So when was this? Sorry, when was this?
So this was April 2022.
Oh, okay then. Space Force.
Cool, man. Yep. And so a lot of these pilots were coming up and saying, they were a little bit maybe getting too close, or there was some near collisions. So I think the government had to start looking in and saying, what are these boys up to? Are they a threat to us? Are they just kind of studying us? What is it, basically? They don't know. In June 2022, a few months after, NASA launches independent UAP study. So again, not just the government, but NASA are jumping in there. Okay, so as I mentioned in earlier, a big one here, June 2023, a dude called David Grush. And if you've seen any of the testimony videos, I think he's been on old Rogan and a few other podcasts. Seems like a very genuine dude. So he's a former intelligence alleges that US has retrieved non-human craft and biologics. So that's basically alien bodies, since the 1930s. So if you remember, our first one was 1933 in Italy. This guy is basically saying, since that crash, we've known about it all along.
And they're just making official investigation teams now to shut everyone up. But they can just delay answers for longer now, because we've only just started looking.
Yeah, this is it. So he was basically going into that, claims that the Vatican were involved in 1933 in the Italy crash. Basically, he went and testified before Congress. So AARO looked into this and didn't really find any evidence, but they're there to kind of shut things down. Grush still stands by his claims today. So I think he's still going through like hearings and things. A lot of the stuff pretty much from the basically the early 2020s is all kind of like, this is when it all seems to go to courts. We see a lot of hearings, a lot of whistleblowers coming forward. So in July 2023, another congressional UAP hearing, pilots like Ryan Graves testifies on encounters. Grush again comes forward and reiterates his claims. The Schumer Amendment is proposed, which proposes declassification of what the government knows. So people are now just trying to fight for this in the legal courts with a lot of backing of what seems to be military personnel. We're coming up to pretty much present day, mate. 2024, AARO annual report says it analysed 757 new reports of UAPs. AARO Sean Kirkpatrick discloses classified program for alien tech recovery.
700 and some since when?
It says just new reports. So 2024.
What, just raised in 2024?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Because the one that
be from
12,000 in the first couple of years.
Yeah, man, but maybe we're getting rid of a lot of the chaff. I mean, technology, if you think about it, it's come a long way on. So what I seem to see is that they're not really taking pictures off mobile phones. All the reports that they're analysing is military radar and things like that, where they know they can actually see and test something. So it's not a picture off a mobile phone kind of thing. So yeah, definitely the numbers have kind of gone down.
Right.
So that brings us on to 2025. So I'm just going to have a little whiz through, but kind of want to focus on some big things here, because if you thought any of that was unbelievable, you're going to have a shit when I tell you about some of this stuff.
Well, I'm interested because I've personally not heard anything for 2025, but I'm not moving in the UFO circles. Sorry, UAP circles.
This is it. And this presentation, it's for you and our listeners to kind of just see the murky world and all the crazy stuff that's gone on in the past 90 years. So we start off in January 16th of 2025. So Jake Barber was a former US military contractor, and he claimed to have led a secret UAP crash retrieval team. So this is a whistleblower going before Congress, coming out. Obviously, if you're a no one and you've never been in the military, that stuff's going to get found out pretty damn fast. So none of these guys who are coming forward are being found out to be just some dude on the dole. Do you know what I mean? They are legit people. And obviously, if you're going before Congress and things like that, you can't be wasting anyone's time. So there is that behind it. They're not just your crazy Bob off the street, okay? So give them some credit. So he alleges involvement in recovering non-human crafts and biologics, drawing parallels to earlier whistleblowers like David Grush. So Barber has appeared on News Nations sharing details of suppressed technologies such as nuclear-based directed energy weapons. And I don't think it's that far out the realm to say that if the government did get these crashed UFOs, of course they're going to start putting that into weaponry. So that's the scary thing. If this stuff is real, we're screwed. We're literally screwed. But he basically said that, UAP, reverse engineering, was massively going on, and it's been going on for a long, long time. So this guy set up a group, which I'm going to go into in a little bit of detail in a minute, called Skywatcher. And that's when things, for me, just start to get really wacky. That, is this real or is this just sci-fi? So January 19th, 2025, first clear footage of an egg-shaped UAP is released. So again, we had an early reports of egg-shaped UAPs. So we're starting to get just different classifications of shapes and things like that. Again, this matched the historical reports and sort of brought around getting out of that kind of, it's just a flying disc or an orb. What we're really seeing all different types of things. So in January 24, 2025, a lot happened in January. Jake Barber, as I mentioned earlier, releases full public disclosures, including his background, UAP recovery processes, and attempts at disclosure via a DOPSA, which is the Department of Defense Office of Republication and Security Review. Basically, that's them asking the government if they're okay to say some mad shit. And if the government don't think they are, then they'll close it down.
Well, it's not whistleblowing if they agree to it.
I think at the minute, because they're saying, it obviously makes people scared to come forward because you lose your job, you get discredited, especially for something like this. They're kind of saying that the government really needs to back these guys up if, they've saved their time and done this. But again, it all gets pretty murky, mate. So it is what it is. But he warns about catastrophic disclosure. And like I say, we're going to go into that, what does this actually mean for humanity? You always think you can handle stuff, but can the person next to you? So he, as I mentioned, he discusses suppressed nuclear-based directed energy weapons from UAP tech. So he's basically confirming that the government are working and putting this stuff into weaponry, which kind of sucks. And he sort of hinges, sounds a bit conspiratorial, but again, things are getting wacky. A global cabal who control the phenomenon. And this is coming from a military professional, do you know what I mean? It's basically kind of going back to this Majestic 12 thing. There's a group of, I'm guessing, very rich dudes controlling all this disclosure stuff. So this isn't just the Pentagon or the British government. Keir Starmer ain't sat in his little house, his little terrace house going, here, so I'm not ready to release this just yet. Yes, he doesn't.
Because he doesn't live in a house. He lives in a vivarium.
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking of the terrace dump that is 10 Downing Street.
So using alien technology to make, nuclear weapons or?
No, nuclear-based energy weapons. Okay, mate, in February 2025, a passive radar signal confirms a visual UFO sighting, described as the world's first passive radar signal. So I think our radars and all that sort of stuff are getting better. So this is where all these kind of like sightings are coming from. April 10th, 2025, a team of whistleblowers and researchers reveal that they are capturing UFOs on video and radar daily, identifying 9 types of UAPs, all different shapes. They attempted to intercept an egg-shaped UAP with a helicopter, marking a breakthrough in real-time evidence collection. So just remember that, because, as I mentioned earlier, that guy Jake Barber and a weird kind of group is set up. That kind of links into that. What we're going to do is we're going to move on to that.
With all these, I just want to talk a little about the whistleblowers. Yeah, so with all these whistleblowers, have they all blown together? Or have they all done it independently of each other? Why can't Mr. Bigelow be like, I don't know. He could bring all these whistleblowers together like an Avengers group, and they all blow together and form an investigation group because they've all got their own insider knowledge. I'm sure they can create a right cabal and deal with this and bring it out. Get Julian Assange in to do the admin.
No, it's just not going to happen, mate. So Bigelow, his company, made money off working on military contracts. Do you know what I mean? So he was allegedly, his company allegedly were taking the crash retrievals. So he works for the government. He's not going to be disclosing anything.
But he's a billionaire.
Exactly.
He doesn't need the contract.
He's got money.
Exactly.
Well, you go tell him.
Well, but this is it. And when he downloads it, as he becomes our third listener, then, yeah, maybe he will. But I'm limited on how to contact him because he's blocked me on everything else.
Well, there you go. You don't want to speak to your poor ass. Yeah, but as far as the whistleblowers go, they've all come out kind of slowly, but now it's obviously getting more and more. Maybe even more come out, but nothing's really happening with it. And that's the kind of sucky thing, is that it's just whistleblower after whistleblower. But I do want to just go into this Skywatcher group because this to me seems true science fiction. So as I mentioned in early January, Jake Barber came out and did his whistleblowing thing. And what he basically did was form with a load of military personnel, like what you just said. They've all got together and they've formed a group called the Skywatcher Group. So there you go, your prayers have been answered. Officially known as Skywatcher Technologies or Skywatcher HQ, is a private organization founded in early 2025 by former military intelligence professionals. So kind of an expendables group. It focused on advanced aerial intelligence and UAP tracking, and what they describe, and this is where it gets weird, as summoning or facilitating UAP encounters using a combination of technological and meditative methods. So basically what they're saying is this group of...
Like the Gulf Breeze 6.
Yeah, dude. Or like X-Files meets the A-Team. So this bunch of bad boy soldiers have got together, clubbed all the money together. They've all seen UFOs. They've all experienced it. And they've found ways of summoning UFOs to capture and basically bring disclosure is their main thing. So I'm going to tell you how they go about summoning these UFOs. And again, if they are doing what mad videos they must be having, and why can't we see these videos?
Exactly.
Guys involved in this is Jake Barber, as I mentioned before. James Fowler, who was the co-founder, he's got a military background in intelligence. Fowler has discussed UAP classifications and technologies on pretty big shows and news programs, so he's really trying to get out there. Other team members includes individuals like Michael Batista, who claims the ability to summon UAPs on demand using psionic techniques.
But he doesn't want to do it right now, I guess.
Well, they are doing, apparently, and they're performing these tests. So the team comprises of insiders from alleged crash recovery programs and researchers focused on basically UAP interactions. So again, all guys from the army who have come forward and said that, yeah, we've been working on these kind of projects. So I'm going to go into the methods of summoning, because you think, how does one summon a bloody UFO? And why would they be so dumb to follow human tricks? But here we go.
It crossed my mind.
Well, Skywatcher employs a dual approach to UAP interaction, blending technology with unconventional techniques. One of their techniques is electromechanical methods. So this is the use of radar, video, and sensor systems to detect and track UAPs in real time. They claim daily captures around military sites and during war games in an attempt to intercept the object. So what I can gather from this is they pretend to go to war, and this apparently attracts the UFOs, and I'm really not sure how they do that. So they were starting to see UFOs when military were performing war exercises. War games is what they essentially call it, and I'm guessing it's training the soldiers to what to do in war situations. But that's when they were noticing that they were kind of capturing these UFOs on radar, and it was almost like they were interested in war or what we were doing. So they knew this was kind of a thing. So yeah, I'm not sure how they go about doing these war games. As I mentioned, psionic methods, which is very controversial, mind over matter techniques to summon UAPs, inspired by figures like Dr. Stephen Greer, not so popular.
Oh, sorry, it's Stephen Greer who has the high trousers, not Bob Lazar.
Yeah, man, come on, get your dudes right. How dare you confuse the two? This is what I have to deal with, people. They warn of potential dangers in psionics, such as unintended consequences from non-human intelligence interactions, and this brings into the whole angels and demons things. Are demons real? Are they actually interdimensional aliens? And if we start messing with all that voodoo shit, could we be bringing in bad aliens, aka demons? It's just, you don't want to be messing with that shit, man. It's the same as Ouija boards. Just don't do it. So these boys have started to come up with UAP classifications. So long gone are the day of the flying saucers. You got your Class 1 Tetra, which is a tumbling or rotating object without propulsion. And these are all ones that they've studied, observed, and claimed to have captured, but can't release because they're under a strict government. I'm guessing the government would kick their ass if they came out of all this shit. If this is true.
They're a bunch of whistleblowers. Why are they bothered that it's not whistleblowing if the government are okay with it? Surely the point of whistleblowing is because they're bringing attention to something that's supposed to be getting denied. If the government are saying yeah, then it's not whistleblowing. It's talking.
Yeah, I think from what I've gathered, it's all put under a national security defense guise. So basically, they're saying legally they are allowed to come forward and whistleblow this stuff, but if they announce anything that can kind of put at risk, say, American security, they can go to jail. So this is why they're not just coming out and going, look, we've got all these videos and all these photos, and this is how you do this, and this is how you summon a UFO. Might be massively illegal. I don't know. I just don't think it's as easy as why don't this guy just come forward and show us his UFO? There's obviously reasons behind it. Again, even if it's real at all, I'm not saying that. I'm just presenting you the evidence.
Do it or don't do it. Go big or go home.
Maybe life's not as simple as that. With that in mind, mate, I'm going to close on a little bit about catastrophic disclosure, because this is why, even though I love this subject and would love to know what's really going on, I just don't believe humankind are ready for it. Catastrophic disclosure, in the context of unidentified aerial phenomenon, refers to a sudden, uncontrolled, and public revelation, a definitive evidence confirming the existence of non-human intelligence or advanced extraterrestrial technology. Okay? So a few things that would be basically societal impacts on this. So psychological shock. Historical knowledge like the 1938 War of the Worlds radio broadcast. Obviously, you know about that. It caused panic, mass fear, an existential crisis. Everyone thought aliens were coming, and people took to the streets. People proper freaked out. Now, I know that was back in the 30s, but I really don't think we've come that far on. One of the big ones for me is religious upheaval. Okay, so revelations could challenge religious doctrines or humanity's sense of uniqueness, or even how we got here, which I think would be the big one if you think how deeply steeped humans are still in religion. So as far as moving on with the societal impacts, economic disruption, disclosure of advanced NHI technology, such as suppressed energy systems, could disrupt industries like fossil fuels or aerospace. So we know that for a fact. The old oil companies aren't going to like this new technology. That basically means everyone just gets free energy for the rest of their life, and it's super green and unharmful.
Well, we all saw what happened to Tesla.
This is it, mate. Exactly. Good example.
He made it so we could have had electricity like we get Wi-Fi. Yeah, no plugs, none of that, all free. But no, Edison wanted his money.
This is it, mate. You know, this stuff goes deep and it goes dark, so I think it really is good to keep an open mind on all this stuff. It really isn't that far out of the realms to me that there's some deep government programs going on and keeping this technology instead of using it on health and education. They're banging it into weapons. Of course, that's what we'd do.
It all comes back down to just money and greed.
This is it, bro. It's human. It's the human condition. So yeah, so just closing up, again, just a few more societal impacts. We've got the political consequences. Exposure of government cover-ups, not going to go down too well, is it? Like I say, 90 years of secrecy, and the government are like, yeah, about that, we kind of lied. It's not going to go down too well. And the big one, finally, as I mentioned earlier, is your security risks. Uncontrolled disclosure could reveal sensitive military data or spark geopolitical tensions if adversaries gain access to NHI technology before other people. So do you realise? Yeah, do you realise how much America would sweat it if they know China are building this badass energy weapon that they've taken from a UFO? That's why these guys.
They already are, and they're already sweating it.
I'm glad you're on board. So I've finally got you to admit it's happening. That's
I'm
good.
not saying aliens built it. I'm saying Chinese did. The aliens nicked it off China.
Sure they did, bro. But yeah, anyway, mate, that brings me to the end of my disclosure timeline. So I don't know if you had to suffer through that or if it was interesting for you. I was hoping to kind of change your mind from a hardened skeptic, because me being the logical believer, you do frustrate me sometimes.
Yeah, when it comes to UFOs, it's not that I don't believe. I just really struggle to care. I'm going to need more, Lee. I'm going to need more.
That's fine, mate. It's fine. I didn't expect to turn you into any hardened believer. But
if anyone wants to leave a comment to back Lee up and maybe change my mind, and I'm not open to people just telling me I'm wrong, because I know I'm wrong in a lot of places. But in this case, I can't be wrong, because no one's shown me anything. And don't be referring me to no Tic-Tac videos or some glowing disc, which is just a blurry thing of someone flicking a coin through the air. I want to see monsters. I want to see, you see, the UFO proof.
Fair play, mate.
You also didn't cover USOs, which I find way more convincing.
Okay.
That'll be unidentified submerged objects, which there are a lot of underwater sightings.
There is, mate.
Or them leaving the water and going into the sky, and vice versa. And there's Mount Shasta with its apparent landing pad and cave where UFOs fly into, and part of the side of that mountain is just a hologram, so that's why we got to see it, like the same sort of thing that hides Wakanda.
The world's a crazy place, my friend. Who knows what's real?
And I'm a bit sad that Kenny Veach didn't get a mention with his M cave. But he's going to have his own journey. He's Kenny. He deserves it. Poor guy.
True that.
I do feel bad for Mr. Veach. Anywho, that was wonderful, Lee. I feel I'm going to come out of this a better person.
That's good, mate. That was my... that was what I was aiming for. But anyway, I don't think I've changed my mind, but even so, food for thought. And it looks like this is my stop, mate.
Okay, ding ding.
Until next time.
See you later. Bye. Behave.